Alright, so today we are starting a new series on the channel because lately I've been kind of falling out of love with One Piece content a little bit and I wanted to switch things up a bit. So I thought, why not do what's something that I've been seeing BDA do recently and collab more? But I want to do a little twist on it. I know some of y'all might have pulled up to the stream that I had a couple weeks ago. It was the rookie One Piece showcase and I brought a bunch of new guys on to talk about One Piece. We talked about a ton of great things and I want to continue that and continue to put on new guys and give them a platform. So I'm starting a series that I'm going to do for the month of February. Don't worry, I'm still going to be doing like my own videos plus chapter reviews, but I'm going to be doing collabs with newer guys to give them a platform and an opportunity to show y'all who they are. And with that, today, of course, I gotta have my brother, the GOAT, Big Vori on the channel. Yo, Vori, what's going on, bro?
Yo, what's good? You know what I'm saying? Always a pleasure to be on your channel, you know, always having me on there, you know. We haven't done one in a while, but, you know, we had to change that real quick.
Yeah, it's been a while, man. It's been a while. So I thought that, you know, since I'm starting this new whole thing with bringing, you know, newer and smaller guys on the channel, giving them a shot to really, you know, show their knowledge, show their One Piece takes, I had to get the bro on first, you feel me, first and foremost. And today, me and Vori got something very special we're talking about. Vori, why don't you tell them what we're going to discuss today?
Hey, so we're going to be talking about Black Blades and how they're formed, all of the discussion around them. But most importantly, I guess we're going to be trying to figure out the mystery behind them because it's been a very ambiguous topic and a discussion that has been talked about widely in the One Piece community for, you know, years. I haven't been in it for a crazy amount of time, probably like 2 or 3 years, but it's been a discussion even, you know, for when I first got into it. So I can only imagine how long it's actually been going around.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I think what's very important and something that's key to look at is the conversation that happened between Zoro and Gyokamaru at the Bandit Bridge. I think there is so much to unpack there, and I feel like that is like the first step for me looking at like what information is missing per se, and I feel like it's just that little bit of context. Of course, Oda does this thing where he's about to show us something or tell us something new, and then it gets completely cut off by something. And this time it just happened to be Kamazo showing up and Hiyori, you know, yelling for help. So it broke up that whole moment. But Gyokamaru and Zoro were having that conversation on Bandit Bridge, and Gyokamaru alluded to Black Blades. And then Zoro kind of questioned it, and he was about to say, "Are you saying that?" And then it kind of gets cut off. So I think he was alluding to it being formed through combat. Now with that, what are your mindsets, Vori, on it being formed through combat? What do you feel like they meant by that conversation?
So I kind of made a video about this a couple weeks ago and I'm kind of using that as kind of a base for it. But since then I've kind of developed like a couple new mindsets towards it, I think. So basically the conclusion I came to in my video that it has something to do with maybe killing, because I used that and the 2 characters that have a Black Blade already, and I kind of use them as a basis and kind of try to, I guess, differentiate them from other people. And you know, Mihawk kind of mentioned how in order to actually become the world's strongest swordsman, you know, you kind of have to kill him. He was like, you know, why would I train you to kill me to become the world's strongest swordsman? And it was even mentioned in his Gyokamaru fight that he was known for slaying his opponents in one slash or whatever. So I'm kind of on the boat that it may have to do something with that, and I know it could connect to a lot of agendas or whatever, but I think it's a really cool theory that it could have something to do with killing, and specifically someone like I guess in a higher tier to like push yourself. You know how like haki blooms in tough situations, but you can't just go around using your haki or whatever, or you can't well, apparently you can't just like get beat up, you know, you have to actually have a, you know, an actual fight. Like in the time skip, Rayleigh couldn't just beat up Luffy and his haki gets stronger. So I'm kind of on the boat that it might have to do something with that, and whether he gets it now in Wano or somewhere else, I'm not really sure, but that's kind of the basis of like my theory. But I want to hear your thoughts on it because I kind of rambled on a little bit.
Nah, it's all good. I mean, that's what we're here for. We're here to show these people, you know, what you know and what theories you have, what speculations you may have. that's what this discussion series is for. So I'm glad that you gave me your thoughts. Killing specifically is an amazing thing that you brought up. It really just sparked so many ideas for me. I never really thought about it being specifically killing. Now I've thought about staining the sword with the blood of your enemies and things like that. That's a theory that's been kind of talked about before. Or just using your haki for a very long time, and that eventually gets infused into the blade until it turns black. We've seen haki in the anime. We see like the purple aura and things like that. So with armament haki, so of course that theory came from there as well. But killing is cool, and it's cool that you brought that up because it just gave me this like idea of this epithet that Zoro has been having in Wano. This like, what is it, the King of Hell or something like that. So it's kind of cool to think about it like that, right? Because if when you think of hell, you think of like slain souls, you think of like souls that pass on. And not to get religious or anything. If you believe in heaven, hell, wherever you believe in, whatever religion you are, you're welcome on the channel. But in a lot of Western religions, hell is where those evil souls once they pass on would go. So it's kind of cool having Zoro have that epithet, the King of Hell, and having the idea of slaying enemies to make your sword black, which is kind of crazy, right? Because I just did the Minority Zoro video. And we talked about him smoking our brothers and sisters to turn his blade black. I'm just saying now, this joking, you feel me?
Well, hold on. What if the black blade isn't really haki? It's just brown skin. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying, bro. You gotta think outside the box. What if it's really brown leather that's on the sword? You feel? Nah, not the reach. All jokes aside, but that's a reach. Nah, but I think it's cool to think about him being the King of Hell and killing his enemies, because something that doesn't happen often is killing, right? That's something that Oda just doesn't do all the time. But we know Zoro has smoked niggas, bro. Facts. Like we know that he has smoked. Yeah, exactly. We've seen him smoke people before in the story, so it wouldn't be like too far-fetched to think that he could kill again. However, do you think, and I'll ask you this, do you think that it is the amount of people that you have to slay or who you slay?
So, okay, I was kind of on the fence about this when I was like making the theory. I kind of mentioned both, but it kind of appeared that like other people like Shiki, maybe Rocks, were killing people, were ruthless or whatever, even kind of like Roger to an extent. And I'm not sure if it is the amount of people you kill, because like, does that mean like someone like Eustace Kid would have black metal right now? He's killed mad people, but I always thought, well, I didn't always think, but looking more into like my thought process and everything, I thought it was the person you kill, or how difficult the fight was, because going back to the whole Haki Bloom's tough situations type of thing. And also looking at Mihawk, I mentioned this briefly earlier, but like Mihawk and Ryuma was like known for being like a sword god and someone who killed people, or the term is slayed, I guess, but like he fought basically an entire country. It was kind of hinted like world nobles, an entire group of these world nobles came to Wano, and over like a 40-year period, none of them could actually beat him. So I don't know if it is the quality of people or the quantity of people. Maybe if there is an enough amount of people that you do kill like in a row, like in the same battle where you're going that distance or whatever, maybe it actually is that. I'm kind of leaning towards the actual like quality of the people you do, in general though.
Yeah, I think thinking of it more quality over quantity is probably the way to go, if it is that way to go. And then bringing up the whole thing of Mihawk getting slayed by Zoro, I think that's really cool. But the only thing that's keeping me from really buying into this theory 100% is that would imply that Zoro may not get a black blade until he beats Mihawk.
Yeah.
So it's like, do we really think that he's not going to make a blade black all the way until the end of the story? Because like, are we not going to be able to see him use a black blade in action? Like, how cool would it be, and like maybe a missed opportunity to have Zoro with a black blade against Yoru a black blade, you know?
Yeah. I was I definitely think that's, you know, that could be a kind of like hole in the theory. I guess that's where the whole agenda thing comes in, because like, you know, we discussed this a billion times about if someone's killing Kaido or whatever. I don't want to really want to mention that, but if it does turn black this arc and it's not from like, you know, him killing someone or anything, then I guess my theory's wrong. But I definitely do like this theory more than the whole like, oh, you have to have just like a strong bond with your sword, because like, who was it? Roger, like he had such a strong bond with the sword that he had the sword named Ace, and he like named it after his son, or he named his son after a sword, which is kind of crazy. And I think there's a lot of other people that have like a very strong bond with their sword that you know, maybe should have a black blade. Someone is like Vista, he was like, and Odin too. I think Odin was like talking to his blades. He has like a comparable amount of like, I guess, relationship to his blades as Mihawk, but he doesn't have a black blade. So I'm kind of leaning, you know, less towards that one as time goes on. I definitely think, you know, the theory isn't like 100% solid, but I like it more than, you know, I guess the original theory that a lot of people came up with.
Yeah, the bond with your blade is cool. I really do like the whole idea of blades like having their own will, and like there being a bond between the sword and the owner, and that's kind of got confirmed by the old blacksmith Kuzabaru, I believe. Recently, that little backstory we got with Zoro and Wano, and we can tell that like some of these people that are using these blades are weak-willed, and that's why they feel like the blades are cursed. So to me, that alludes to like blades having their own will in a way, not being like actual animate objects.
Yeah.
But of course they're still inanimate. They're just swords, but having like a will, like maybe of their original wielder, or, you know, the strong swordsmen that have used it beforehand. We seen when, you know, Zoro got Shisui, like how much stronger he just instantly got because of this sword had been so battle tested with Ryuma for so long. Shout out to the dark skinned zombie. And
Thanks.
The goat, you know what I'm saying? The sword god himself.
That's a goat.
But I really do feel like the bond between sword and sword wielder is cool. I like that. It gives me like Pokemon vibes. I know that sounds weird, but it just like gives me vibes of like Ash, and like, you know, watching him bond with like Pikachu. Like you see that bond between the Pokemon, and like you see a Pokemon like Pikachu, right, that would be so normally like weak, but becomes so strong because, you know, the bond between him and Ash is so strong, right? So I wonder if it's a possibility, I bring that up, if, you know, swords can become stronger when you quote unquote bond with them over time and you become battle tested, right?
Yeah.
But I think that could go more into the whole haki thing. Less like your love connection with your sword, and more of how much your sword is used to your haki input, used to you using your haki. The only thing that like makes me kind of fall flat on that end of the theory, right, is because we see in Wano, Odin had been infusing Enma with tons of haki that entire time. This gets confirmed by Zoro, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, with everything Odin did, that still wasn't enough if it's haki related to turn Enma black.
Right.
Like he had been infusing it with haki since he started using it, right? So it's like, I just don't understand, if it's haki related, how is that not enough? You know, like I feel like it has to be something about combat, because the only black blade that we've seen so far, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is Yoru, correct?
And Shisui.
And Shisui, sorry.
Yeah.
So, and we know, right, those two individuals, Ryuma and Mihawk, like you said, were battle tested. Mihawk becoming the world's strongest swordsman implies that he went around fighting a lot of strong swordsmen, and Ryuma stayed in Wano for years and years and years protecting it with that blade. So I feel like it has to have something to do less with haki, and maybe more, like you said, combat, maybe wins, maybe it could be blood related, could be, you know, slaying enemies, but I think it's more related to combat and less of haki. We're coming up on the time limit for the video. I wanted to make these videos about 15 to 20 minutes, so I want you to, you know, if you can, just give your final thoughts on black blades, maybe solidify your theory, and just give them like exactly what you think in a nutshell black blades are and where they come from.
All right, I want to go over this really quick because in the beginning I kind of mentioned how it kind of had like multiple theories to it, but this kind of, I guess, lies in between like both of the ends that we both said. So we all know it kind of seems that blades have kind of like I guess a sentience in some way, like how like Enma was testing Zoro or whatever, and it's implied that, you know, each blade has a will, or at least, you know, each strong blade or whatever. So imagine if it has something to do with fulfilling, or maybe you can even put, you know, a certain will into this sword and you fulfilling it does that. So basically, like, maybe with Ryuma it was slaying enemies, and with Enma it is maybe killing, or it is beating someone or something like that. And maybe with Mihawk it was, you know, becoming the strongest swordsman, and that maybe could possibly be why there aren't any other black blade users in the world right now, because no other person has taken that step into like the world's strongest swordsman. So maybe everybody else in the world, maybe their blade has that will or whatever, or they just, you know, aren't seeking that. Maybe they don't have a will like that, and maybe they haven't completed that. And I think that may be the reason why Enma is doing this, because in the Kuzabaru flashback it was kind of handed like, oh, you know, each weapon is made to kill. They all have a will of its own. It's testing you, you know, it's the, you know, whole King of Hell thing. So I think that could be I think that's probably my theory. It's kind of like in the middle of what we both said, but that's basically my final thoughts. I don't know if you had anything else to say.
No, man, I think you covered it up, you know, pretty good, man. Vor, again, thank you so much for having this, you know, small discussion with me on Black Blades. I think this was a great video. Getting our thoughts out on that. Make sure you guys check in the pinned comment and the description. Vor's links will be there. Make sure you check his channel out and subscribe to him. I'd really appreciate that. And as always, I hope you all are staying safe and healthy during these trying times. This has been Sensei Ink and Vori, and I will see you all in the next video.